Good afternoon. I am Pramod Kumar Srivastava, Professor, TMU. My subject is Business Research Method. In this subject, I am talking about the information related with the data, the primary data and the secondary data. And the last class, we are talking about primary and secondary data, and this will be the continuation of the last class. And the objective or outcome of this class is to understand the different classification of the data, categorization of data, analysis the nature of the data, and understand temporal dimension and the knowledge of the type of research data. So in this continuation, next is the computerized based database. So computerized database, here in this slide you can see that is divided into two parts. One is the storage and recovery information, and second one is the information type. Source and the reference is the part of the information side. The storage and recovery part, that one-time database, or the data are in the CD or ROM or the pen drive or the hard disk, or the one-line database again divided into, or we can say the classification into the internet, direct form of the supplier, direct form of the creators, and through others network. So these are the computerized based data. So we go on brief of this slide. Computerized data refers to information that is stored or the processed electronically, typically using computer. This type of data can include a wide range of information from the text document and the spreadsheet to the database and multimedia files. Here are some common example of computerized database. First one is the database are organized collection of the data, typically stored in tables that can be easily querying and manipulating. Example including SQL database like MySQL, PostgreSQL, and the Microsoft SQL server, as well as the non-SQL database like the MongoDB and the Cassandra. Second, the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet are used to organize data in a row or the column, and are often used for the tasks like the budgeting, inventory management, and the data analysis. Example including Microsoft Excel and the Google Sheet using for the spreadsheet. Next is the text document. Text document store textual information and can include format like the Word document or a PDF document or the plain text file. Multimedia files including audio, video, image files, which can be stored and processed using computer. So this type of multimedia file, web data from the website and web application including HTML pages, CSS files, so JavaScript file, and the data retrieved from the API. Sensor data collected from the sensors such as the temperature sensor, GPS sensors, or the motion sensors, which is often used in IoT, Internet of Things application. Computerized database is typically stored in a digital format, making it easier to process, analyze, and share compared to traditional paper-based data. However, managing computerized data also comes with challenges such as ensuring data security, maintaining data integrity, and dealing with the issue like data and the inconsistency. We can say that the computerized database on content the information refers to the database source database based on the stores and the recovery mechanism, online database or the CD-ROM database. Next one is the syndicate data sources. Households or individual data conducted on an individual consumer, they are usually of the following types. Survey are usually one-time assessment conducted on a large representative respondent base. Product purchase panels. These especially selected respondent group periodically record certain identified purchases generally related to household product or the grocery. Media specified panels. Media panels are created for collecting information related to promotion and the advertisement. They are generally make use of a different kind of electronic equipment to automatically record consumer viewing behaviors. So these are under the household or the individual database survey, product purchase panel or the media specified panels. So syndicate data source involve aggregating and distributing data from multiple sources to provide a comprehensive view or services. Identify data source. Determine the source of data you want to syndicate. This could internal, example your organization database, or the external might be the public API third party data provider. So first the identification of the data source in the syndicate database, that might be the internal or the external. Internal related with the organizational database, or external related with the public API or the third party data provider. Second, the aggregate data. Use tools or script to collect data from this source. This could involve API, web scraping and the direct database access depending on the source. Normalized data. Since data from different source may be in a different format or the structure, you shall need to normalize it into a common format. This could involve cleaning, transforming, standardizing the data. Store data. Store the aggregate and the normalized data in the database or the data warehouse. This make it easier to access and query the data later. Distribute data. Provide access to the syndicate data to users or the system that need it. This could be through API, data feeds or the other means. Update data. Regularly update the syndicate data to ensure it remains current and relevant. And the seventh is the compiling with the regulation, ensuring that you compile with the data protection regulations and obtain any necessary permissions for the syndicating data from the third party resources. This process can vary greatly depending on the specific use case or the data source involved. Institutional syndicate data. The second group of syndicate source collect information from the organization or the institutions. Retailers audits for the various product and the services categories. Periodically record data is available to track the movement of the stocks at the retail end. Wholesale audits. This measures the warehouse movement, participating operation including the wholesale, supplier or the hypermarket or the frozen food warehousing, etc. Next is the qualitative data collection method. So qualitative method of the data collection explore the latent and the unconscious constructs through various means that are loosely structured and require in-depth and closer exploration and the reporting of the phenomenon or the behavior which would not be apparent through more structured method. So qualitative data collection method are used to gather non-numerical information focusing on understanding attitude or opinion, behavior or experience. So simply we can say that qualitative data is type of data that cannot be measured or that cannot be in a numerical value, focusing on understanding the attitude, opinion, behavior and experience. Here are some common methods. First method is the interview method. Interview conducting one or in a group interview allow to in-depth exploration of the topic. They can be structured, semi-structured and unstructured. So qualitative data collection, the first step is the interview method, and we can say that there are three types of interview method. One is the structured interview, unstructured interview, or the semi-interview method or semi-structured interview method. That semi-structured interview method also called as in the mixed structure, because the certain part in this is the structure and certain part is unstructured format. That's why it is also called semi-structure or the mixed structure. Second one is the focus group, involving a small group of people. Focus group facilitate discussion on a specific topic, providing insights into the shared perspective. So focus group is also focusing on a particular things or particular objective and giving the information regarding that. Third one is the observation. Researcher observe participant in their natural settings, noting behavior, interaction and contacts. So it is a part of the observation method. Just a researcher getting information through the observation. And the fourth one is the participant observation. A researcher becoming a part of group being studied, allowing for the deeper understanding of the culture, behavior and perspectives. So participant observation is more authentic than the non-participant observation. And the fifth one is the survey and the questionnaire method. This can be used to collect large amount of data from the broad audience, and question can be open-end or the closed-end. And the sixth one is the document analysis. Examine document, text, image, video or the understand the context and extract relevant information. Diary and journals are the participant recording their thought, experience, behavior or overall lot of things they are putting in their diary or journal, and we are getting information from the diary and journal. And the ethnography method involve the immersive or the long-term study of a group or the culture to understand their behavior, beliefs and the practices. And the ninth is the case study method. In the case study, detailing examining of the single individual, group or event, providing the comprehensive understanding of the subject. And 10th is the narrative analysis, focusing on the story people tell. Research and analyze the structure and the content of the narrative to the covering the meaning and the themes. So each method has its strength and the limitation, and the researcher often use to combination of the method to triangulate the findings and ensuring the reliability and the validity. So classification of the qualitative method. In this slide, the qualitative method broadly classified into two terms, direct and the indirect. Direct non-disguised or the indirect disguised method. So direct method, there are four further classification of the direct method. One is the observation, second is the focus group, third is the depth interview, and the fourth is the context analysis. Indirect association technique, completion, construction technique, expressive technique, choice and ordering. So these are the classification of qualitative method of the data. So qualitative research method can be broadly classified into the different category. First one is the observational method. This method involves observation and recording the behavior of the individual or the group in their natural setting. Example including participant observation, non-participant observation and ethnography. So these all three are considered as the observation method. Second one is the interview method. This method involves one-on-one or a group interview to gather the data. Interviewers can be structured, semi-structured, or the unstructured depending on the level of the flexibility in the question. Third one is the focus group method. Focus group involve the small group of the people discussing the specific topic guided by the moderator. This method is useful for exploring attitude, opinion and perception. Text analysis method. Text analysis method involve analyzing written, spoken, visual communication such as document, transcript or the image. Example including context analysis, disclosure analysis or the narrative analysis. Mixed method. Mixed method, a researcher combine qualitative and quantitative method to provide a more comprehensive understanding of the research problem. This approach can help a researcher triangulate their findings and overcoming the limitation of each method. These categories are not mutually exclusive, and researchers often use a combination of methods to answer their research questions. Each method has its strength and the limitation, and the choice of the method depends upon the research question, the nature of the data and the researcher skill and the resources. So next is the comparison between the qualitative versus quantitative method. So researcher stages. First is the study objective. So on the basis of study objective, qualitative is the exploratory and investigative, and where the quantitative defining, exclusive and the predictive. Research design, loosely structured or the in a qualitative method, or in a quantitative method is the structure and the control condition. Sampling plan, qualitative method we can use small samples, and in the quantitative method we have used large and representative sample. Type of approaches, loosely structured in a qualitative method, and in the quantitative method formatted and the structure. Data analysis, textual or non-statistical data analysis in the qualitative method. Quantitative method is the statistical testing and the authenticated. Study deliverable, exploratory and the supportive on the qualitative, and quantitative which is conclusive and action oriented. So these are the variation between the qualitative and quantitative method on different factors, and the factor is the research stages. Next is the qualitative quantitative research methods are two primary approaches to conduct the research. Here are the key difference between the two on the basis of the nature. The qualitative focus on the collection of the analysis, interpretation and non-numerical data such as the word, pictures or the observation is seek to understand the social phenomenon from the perspective of this being studied. On the quantitative focus on the collection and the analysis of the numerical data to quantify the relationship between and the patterns. It seeks to test the hypothesis and gathering the findings of the research population. The research question, qualitative in the qualitative method. Quantitative often used to explore the complex phenomenon, understand experience and overcome understanding motivations, and the research questions are often ended and the exploratory. In the quantitative method, the often used to quantify the relation, compare the group or test the hypothesis. Research questions are specified and the aim to answer with the statistical analysis. Data collection method, quantitative uses methods such as the interview, focus group or the observation. On the quantitative uses methods such as the survey, experience and structure. On the data analysis, quantitative involve the coding and the categorization of the data to identify the pattern, theme, relation. On the quantitative involve the statistical analysis. Outcome, the quantitative aim to provide the rich detailed description and deep insights into the phenomenon. Findings are often presented in a narrative forms, and quantitative aim to quantify the relation between the generalized and the finding. A large population finding are often presented in the table. So in the observation method, observation involves viewing and the recording the individual groups or the organization or event in the scientific manner in order to collect the value the data related to the topic under the study. So observation method is a standardized and the structured, non-standardized and unstructured. Observation is a qualitative research method that involves watching and documenting people's behavior and the situation in their natural setting. Where are some examples of observation method? Naturalistic observation means we are observing on the natural environment. Researchers observe and record behavior in a natural setting without any intervention or manipulation. For example, researchers might observe children playing in the play group to understand their social interaction. Second one is the participation observation. Researchers actually participate in the setting they are observed, becoming part of the group to gain the deep understanding of their behavior and the culture. For example, the researcher might join a community to suffering to study their lifestyle and the value. The structure observation, researcher define a specific behavior event of the observed and develop a coding scheme to categorize the observation. For example, researchers study classroom behavior might use a structure observation checklist to record the instances of the student engagement. Unstructured observation, researcher observe a setting without a specific plan or set a behavior to observe, allowing them to capture a wide range of behavior and interaction. For example, the researcher might observe shoppers in a mall without a specific focus, noting interesting behavior and the pattern. Control observation, researcher observe behavior in a control setting such as laboratory where the variables are manipulated and controlled. For example, a researcher might study an effect of a different teaching method on student learning in a controlled classroom setting. Non-participant observation, researcher observe behavior without actively participate in the setting. For example, the researcher might observe the pedestrian trafficking pattern in the city square from a distance. Observation method can provide a valuable insight into a human behavior and social interaction, but they also have a limitation such as potential or the observer behavior and difficult to capture the full context of the situation. So, observation method level of respondent on consciousness, disguised observation and undisguised observation, observation setting, natural behavior or the stimulated environment, natural environment and stimulated role of the human participant, participating and non-participating. So there are some specific example of observation method in the various contexts. Healthcare setting, observation interaction between the healthcare providers and the practitioner to assess communication, empathy and the quality of care. There can help identify area to improve in a patient care. Classroom settings, observation classroom dynamics, teaching student interaction and the student behavior to understand the teaching effectiveness, student engagement and the learning outcome. Public space, observing behavior in a public space such as the park, shopping mall or the transport hub to study the social interaction, crowd behavior and the urban planning needs. Workplace setting, observation employee interaction, workflow or the organizational culture to assess productive teamwork and the job satisfaction. Consumer behavior observations, shoppers or the retailer behavior to understand the shopping behavior, product preferences or the decision making. Natural environment observation, animal behavior in a wild to study a social structure, meeting rituals or the ecological interaction, digital environments, observing online interactions such as the social media discussion or the use behavior on the website, or to understand the communication pattern, user preferences and online community method. The store scanner or the store camera, audit audio or the people meters or the psychoglometers, oculometers, pommelometers, voice pitch meters. So these are the different system we are observing through the mechanical observation method. So it is also known as the automated or the technical observation method. Mechanical observation method, also known as automation or the technical observation method, involve the use of the mechanical device or the technology to collect data without direct human interaction. This method is often used in the fields such as psychology, sociology or the environment science. Here are some examples of mechanical observation method. So video surveillance, the camera are used to record behavior in a particular settings. This method is often used in a retail stores, public space or the research settings to observe behavior without preferences of an observer. Motion sensors, these sensors can detect the movement or the activity in a specific area. They are commonly used to security system and the research setting to track the movement pattern. The GPS tracking, global positioning system technology used to track the location of the individuals of the object. This method is often used to wildlife research, transportation study and the support performance analysis. Eye tracking technology, this technology is used to measure eye movement or the gaze behavior. It is commonly used in a psychology and marketing research to understand the visual attention and the decision making process. Next is the electropathography, EEG. EEG is used to measure electrical activity in the brain, and it is often used to neuroscience research to study the brain function and activity pattern. Actigraphy, it is method involved using the device worm in the words of the measure an activity level over a period of time. It is commonly used in a sleep research or the monitoring physical activity. Mechanical observation method often has several advantages such as the ability to collect the objective data, eliminate the observed biased behavior, capture data in a real time. However, they also have limitations such as cost, technological complexity or ethical consideration regarding the privacy and content. Observation guidelines. So here there are the guidelines when we are observing, and this is the sample sheet. So when we are observing, first we go through the name of the store. If we were observing the behavior pattern of the store, so here the observation sheet, the organic retailer. So we are going to understand the behavior pattern of the organic retail stores. So first the name of the stores, the location and the size of the stores, and the store's personnel, how many person in the store, the store person attitude, or what kind of attitude they have, or the store atmosphere, approximate footfall weekday, or the percentage of the concerned weekdays or weekend or weekdays or weekend. So these are the common sheet we are using, and we are giving it in this slide is the sample sheet. How when we are going to observe, we can design the common sample sheet, and the few attitude or few things we have to mention, and we can say that it is mandatory to mention. By this way we are able to analyze the things. Is used to researcher or the observer to structure their observation and ensure that they collect relevant data. It typically includes a set of predefined categories, behavior or event to look to guide the observation. Here the basic structure for creating an observation guide. First we go through the research objective. When we have go for the observation guide, we have to go with the research objective. Clearly define the purpose of the observation and what you hope to achieve. So research objective, when you are going for to understand the research objective, first we have to understand the research objective and for which purpose and for what thing you want to achieve. So this could include understanding behavior, assessing performance, or evaluating a program. So observation settings. So second thing is the observation setting. Describe the context and the setting where the observation will take place, including details such as the location, time, or any specific condition relevant to the observation. Observation categories. So categorizing the observation to identify the key categories or the behavior or the observable and the relevant to your research objective. For example, if you want to observe classroom behavior, your category might be include to a student category or teacher category or the teacher-student interaction or the classroom management. So when you are going to observe, you have to understand the category, for which category or for which purpose you are observing the classroom behavior, and what is basic objective to observe the teacher behavior or to observe the student behavior or to observe the interaction between the teacher and student behavior or to observe the student engagement within the classroom or the student management or the classroom management in the class or the within the class. So observation categorized, and that categories depend upon the objective, and that next one is the behavior definition, providing clear definition and description of each category or the behavior. Whatever the category defined or the behavior you have defined, you have to clearly define that, and this help ensure the consistency in the observation and interpretation. For example, define what constitutes active participation or the off-task behavior. Scoring or recording method. Decide how you will record your observation. This could be through checklist, rating scale, or the narrative description. Ensure that your method align with your research objective and allow for the effective data collection. So your method, if your method is not aligned with your research objective, that might be lot of faults and we cannot reach on a very conclusive or very accurate findings. Next one is the sampling method. Determining how you will select a participant or the event to observe. This could be random sampling or the stratified sampling or the purposive sampling depending on your research design. So sampling method is also important, that when you are decided to observe for which sampling unit or which responding unit you are going to observe, that might be depend upon your choice of research design or which research design is more suitable for your objective or your research study. Ethical consideration. Consider any ethical issues related to your observations such as privacy, consent, or the confidentiality, ensuring that your observation methods are in compliance with the ethical guidelines. Pilot testing. Before conducting your observation, pilot test your observation guide to ensure that it is clear, comprehensive, and practical. Make any necessary revisions based on feedback from the pilot test. So whatever things you are going to mention or things you are going to improve through the pilot, and from that pilot you also mention whatever the requirement for the revision or the necessary requirement for the revision, training for the observation. If you will have a multiple observation, provide training to ensure that they understand the observation guide and can apply it in consistently. With this help to minimize the observation biasness, ensuring the reliability of the data. So during the observation or before the observation, trained manpower required. If you haven't trained manpower at that time, you have to first train your human resources as per your requirement, and then involve that human resources for the observation process. By this way you can decrease or eliminate the biasness in the observation and ensuring the reliability or the accuracy of your data. Data analysis plan outline how you will analyze the data collected through observation. This could include qualitative analysis, quantitative analysis, or the combination of both qualitative and quantitative analysis depending on your research objective. So by following these steps, you can create an observation guide that help you to collect systematic and reliable data to address your research objectives. Observation guide classroom behavior. Suppose that you are going to observe the classroom behavior. So first thing is the guide with observation guide is for to understanding the behavior of the classroom of the student or the teacher, or the interaction between the student and teacher or the classroom management, to observe and record the student engagement and teacher student interaction during the math class. Observation setting, like in the example. So you are going to the 5th class and the class day of the class is Monday, or the time is 10 a.m. to 10:45 a.m. So observer first, observer put their name, date of observation, observation category. So student engagement. Engaged activity participation in the lesson, or disengaged not paying attention or the participating. So first student engagement, second one teacher instruction. So first clear or concise, the teacher is giving clear or concise instruction or not. Encourage student participation, how teacher is encouraging student participation and explaining the concept effectively. So these are the instructions given by the teacher to their student, and the observer recording this instruction and understanding that the instructions. Student interaction, student interaction. Within the student interaction, collaboration and discussion, student is collaborating or discussing. Student teacher interaction, asking question or the feedback. So when student interaction, that related with the discussion and the collaboration, and when teacher student interaction, asking the question and the feedback. Fourth, classroom management, maintaining the positive. So whatever the disruption, that is promptly or effective. Next is the behavior definition. First is engage. Students are actively participating in the lesson, raising hand, answering question and working on assigned task. So definition of the student engagement is students are actively participating in the lesson. The observer can understand that raising the hand of the student answering the question, or student working on the assigned task. That define the student engagement. This is engagement of the student definition. Students are not paying attention, looking around the room, no engaging in off-task behavior. So if we are observing the disengagement, so we are observing disengagement through no attention given by the student and a student just looking here and there and around the class and engage no or engaging or off task behavior, the task not related with the classroom. When the observer is observing, the method is the clear and concise. Whatever the teacher instruction are easy to understand and follow. So instruction given by the teacher is really it is easy to understand by a student and follow, because if the teacher is providing the clear and concise information, if they are not giving that clear and concise information, that might be with a different observation. Encouraging a student participation, teacher encouraging a student to ask questions, share their thoughts and participate in the classroom discussion. Maintaining a positive and orderly environment, teaching ensure that the students are peaceful, follow classroom rules or consider the others. So maintaining positively and orderly behavior of the student. Next is in the scoring and recording of this method, use a checklist to mark a behavior observed or the rating scale. The rating scale is 1 to 5 to indicate the degree of engagement or effective the interaction or effectiveness of interaction. Sampling method, observe a random sample of the 10 students for a 5 minutes each, rotating among different area of the classroom to ensure the coverage. Ethical consideration, ensuring the student privacy and confidence is not recorded name or the personal information, obtain permissions from the teacher or the school administration before conducting the observation. So we have to go through certain ethical consideration. And the data analysis plan, qualitative analysis of the observation notes to identify the pattern in students engagement or the teacher student interaction. Quantitatively analyzing the engagement level using the rating scales. So by this way we can use analysis. In this content analysis, techniques involves to study the previous recorded or the reporting communications and the systematic or the objective breaking it into more manageable units that are related to the topic. Material studies is usually ex post facto, or the study or analysis is however the privacy and the problem specified. So this is part of the content analysis, how we are analyzing the contents in this method. Next is the content analysis universe of the contents. So word, the theme, the characters, or the space measurement, or the time measurement, or the item. These are the part of the content analysis. So first we go through the word. So how we are analyzing the word through the content analysis. Next one is the theme, that related with the particular themes or the particular purposes. The characteristics, sometimes we analyze the characteristics or the characteristics of the behavior, the space measurement or the time measurement, the item. So these are the part of the content analysis. Or next one is in the content analysis validations, the findings. Obtaining the analysis from the multiple evaluation and the cross validity using the following formula. That formula is given here. And the relative observation agreement between the two rates or the probability that this is due to the chances, and if the two rates are in a complete agreement, then the kappa is 1, and if there is no agreement, that kappa is 0. So kappa is very from the 1 to 0 or the 0 to 1. So these are the limits of the kappa. So focus group discussion. A focus group discussion involves the collecting information from a representative groups respond in the natural settings. The process generally involves the moderation which would the discussion on the topic under the study. It is essential a sociological technique. The group dynamics influence the individual to respond the diverse way. So focus group is finally understand that the which group is go under the observation, that is known as the focus group, and we have to go with the focus group observation and understanding the focus group in a various aspect, that all aspect related with the objective of our research and what actually we want to achieve in our research. Key elements of the focus group. The first one is the size. The real recommendation size of the group discussion is 8 to 10 members. So generally when we have decided a focus group, the one of the ideal size is to tend to a nature. The composition of the group should be homogeneous in terms of the demographic and the psychographic traits and the product and subject knowledge. So this is the nature and the acquaintance recommend that the members in the group should be strange to each other. So if the member is known to each other, that make uncomfortable and we cannot get realistic information. So acquaintance of the focus group is to each other member is very unknown, and the discussion setting should be natural or the informal or the comfortable. Whatever the discussion setting, we have to go with the natural, comfortable and the informal situations. Key elements of the focus group discussion, that is FGD, focus group discussion. Time period, so which time period and that is related with the duration of the time. Usually recommended that the discussion should be take place in a single setting. So it is one of the very recommended thing that we cannot use a different time period. Whatever the information we are getting at one time period, recording human or the mechanical recording the entire discussion, whatever the discussion that might be recorded through the human or the mechanical way. And the moderator, key conductors, or might be the participants or the non-participants. So whatever the moderator in the focus group discussion, FGD, they might be with the participant or the non-participant. If I have been talking about the participant, they are actively involved, and if they are non-participant, they are observing from some distance places or some distance area. Key moderator skills, these are the skills required for the moderator. A listening skill, the important skill for the moderator, they have a very good listening skill. If they are not able to listen in a proper way, means there are so many biasness coming in that situation, and they are not able to record in a very proper way. So listening skill is one of the important characteristics or one of the important skill for the moderator. Second one is the observation skill. If the moderator is not properly trained for the particular observation things, they are not properly observe the things. So for the observation skill, it is a very high skill person required to observe the activity. They might be observing the participant observation, or they might be observing on a non-participant observation, but they have a very good observation skills, or they are going through a good training of the observation skill. So flexibility of approaches, what they are observing, they have certain flexibility, whatever the definition of the certain events or the certain activity, that events and activity have with flexibility norms. Because if the observation is not well trained during the observation process, they are not able to understand, and that might be the flexibility is not involved in a proper way, and that lead to be inaccuracy and reliability in the information or the data collection. and next is the ethic aid to objective of the condition. So they may have a empathy in this situation. Summary and the closure approaches, whatever they observe, that might be recorded in the summary and the closure view. So these are the very key important skill required for the moderator. If moderator is not going with these skills, that might be a lot of problem in the observation method. Planning and conducting the FGT, focus group discussion. Defining the research objective requiring the discussion, focus group discussion, and summarizing the defining of the focus group discussion. So these are the planning and the conducting the FGT, the focus group discussion. This is the comparison, affective reaction, behavior pattern, and the moderate role. The stages are forming, storming, norming, performing, mourning. So these are the different stages. So first stage is forming stage. Affective reaction, the group members are uncomfortable, insecure and little lost, apprehensive. Behavior pattern, silence or general talk, greetings and introductions, moderate activity, and in the moderator roles, try to bring a clarity by the stage. Storming stage, there are the chores and the emotion start flying and the members questioning others and the voicing over one opinions. In the behavior, argument direct at each other and try to seek support from the moderator. Generally, there is a rigid in terms of stitching the one position and the leaders and the followers emerge. On the moderator role, do not take sides, play poker face and say all opinions are welcome. Steer the direction to the topic rather than the argument which might go off at the tangent. Try to draw the passive participants. So on a moderator role is that on third stage, norming stage, there is affective reaction. Clicker sliders start forming based on the stance that the people have taken, more supportive and positive, single especially non-verbal. On the behavior pattern, people have got a hand on the process and do not really need any steering by the moderators. On the moderator roles, task take it easy, is more bothered about the sequencing of the information and the managing with time now. On the performance stage, active reaction, individual are subservient to the group roles and the flexible and the task oriented. On the behavior pattern, sense of concentration and the follow everything see easy, high energy, group work without being asked, time to introduce difficult issues is to plus materials, projectives and the techniques. These are the part of the moderator roles. And the readjustment process, there might be the role reversal. That is part of the readjustment process. People may have another perspective with which the loosely defined cliques might not agree, or so one of the earlier stage might merge. So, mourning, group task nearing complexions, so there might be the sense of loss in the energy generated with the discussion might be sapped. If members do not feel that any clear stance is emerging, they might want to continue and not disband the group. Single conclusion, if you want to summarize, ask if anyone has something to add. Thanks everyone and disperse the reference and the closure. So these are, by this way we can understand that how we are using, and through this chart or this slide we can understand that the different stages and the roles, affective active reaction, behavior pattern, and the moderator roles. And last point related with the readjustment. In the readjustment process, thus we are splitting the roles. So orientation towards the health and environmental concern, 10 to 12 minutes every day. One hear of adulterated food and the drinks, the alarming level of pesticides and the fertilizer in the food item. How much of this do you think is true opinion? Does it bother you? Or what do you do at your own personal end of safeguard yourself or your family from this effect? Please share your strategy and the method with all of your. So this is one of the example that every day you are going to listen about the food adulteration and the malpracticing and food, and you are and what kind of behavior you are and what kind of thing you want to be react or behave on it. So you can might record it. Organic food, so 30 minutes. Presentation of the concept, awareness is very low. Or what should be done to improve the awareness about the product? So this is the another example related with the organic food and the marketing the product, 30 minutes. Which product do you think about to sell more? What do you feel about the product, like or dislike? Or the how should the product be priced or the packet? Where do you think this product should be sold? And going to marketing products, what big things or the big brand or the government or the farmer themselves should be sell it. So marketing the product, the 30 minutes. So by this question, what kind of things you are observing and how you are reacting on it, and how behaviorally you are recording or informing. Closing the discussion. So 30 minutes is finally the, you would like you to create tell me any idea about the possible brand names that can be used by a company. So this is part of FGD, focus group discussion. So in focus group discussion, these are the different examples oriented towards the health and the environment concern, 10 to 15 minutes. They are related with the food adulteration, organic food 30 minutes, marketing of the product 30 minutes, and the closing discussion is the 10 minutes. So type of the focus group, there are the various type of the focus: two-way focus group, dual moderator group, fencing moderator groups, friendship group, mini group, creative group, brand obsessive group, or the online focus group. So these are the different type of the focus group, and that focus group is vary with their different behaviors. Focus group discussion, advantage and the disadvantage within the focus group, idea generation and the group dynamics are the part of the advantage and disadvantage under the focus group. And the second is the group dynamics and the scientific process. Advantage, idea generation, group dynamics, process advantages, and the reliability and validity. These are the advantages of the focus group. On the other hand, group dynamics, scientific process, statistical analysis, moderator and investing are the disadvantage of the focus group discussion, that is FGD. So advantage and disadvantage of the focus group. Personal interviews. Personal interviews is one interaction between the investigator or the interviewer. Means one-to-one interaction is called a personal interview, and this purpose of the dialogues is specific and ranging from the completely unstructured to highly structured. So personal interview might be the structured or the highly structured. Typical use of the Focus group, the problem definition, exploratory research, and the primary data collection. So when you have any discussion for the problem definition, we go for the personal interview, or sometimes if you want to explore something new or something new idea or new things, that at that situation we also using the personal interview, and for the purpose of the primary data collection we are using the personal interview method. So personal interview method is one of the important interview method, and in this method we are taking information by one-to-one basis, and the personal interview method might be with structure or unstructured, and the purpose of the personal group method is to getting the problem definition, or to exploring something new, or to primary data collection we are using the personal interview method. Conducting the personal interview, starting the interview objective. For which objective you are going to take a personal interview, you have to first define that objective, identify the interview guidelines, whatever the interview guidelines, that is the structure or unstructured or the semi-structured interview guidelines. So you have to go with this interview guidelines. You are going to get an interview on the structured format, or the unstructured format, or semi-structured format. Screening the interviews. Before the interviewing, you have to first screen the interviewers, so means you have some information about the interviewers and their knowledge level, their information, their profile. So a lot of things you have to go with the interviewer level, that is part of the screening the interview. And the last one is the analysis and the interpretation of the interview. But after the interview, you have to go through the analysis and interpretation of your interview, and by this way you also gather some feedbacks, and on the basis of some feedback you can improve interview method in the further interview process. So interview guidelines, behavior purchase and the consumption, introduction and the warm up. So these are the certain guidelines when we are taking the interview, that is the structured format of the interview. So here interview, the objective is started with the I am conducting a short survey of the soft drink consumption, thus I would just take some insight from you on your purchase. There are no right or wrong answer, however, since you would consume soft drink, your opinion is really important to understand the purchase behavior. So the basic objective of taking interview that is just I want to take information from interviewer for their purchase behavior regarding the soft drink. So start the question with the tell us something about the yourself. What do you do, or as a occupation, your hobby, or what do you like to do? Probe further psychographic or lifestyle, purchase behavior. This soft drink that you have purchased, how do you generally consume it? Chilled, cold, or can, bottle, or stand alone, or mixed with something. So this is also behavior pattern of during the consumption of the cold drink. Fifth is, if you were asked to list the occasion for the soft drink purchase, they would be, means simply for which occasion you normally drink the soft drink. And the sixth one is, so when you are making this purchase, what triggered it? Brand, price, deal, taste, or the packaging, or any other. So these are the trigger for your purchase. From all attributes from the regions, for example, what kind of deals, packaging, brand, image, etc. Suppose your favorite brand is not available for purchase, what do? Do you move for another store to pick up another brand, or you can purchase a same brand, you can purchase a substitute brand. Suppose a company change its packaging so that it is really eye-catching, what is your reaction to it? Expose pictures. I am going to show you some display picture. Please tell me which one do you think look attractive? Response selection. Would you move consumer to go and look around and purchase? Expose pictures. I am going to show you a picture to a store where would you generally expect to the soft drink to be placed. Your opinion, in this right place, can it be put somewhere or else? Buy one get one free, or the freebies or the coupon prices do you get moved to try out or buy some of these? Or the soft drink company do a lot to add. Can you tell me something about some ad that you recall, degree of recall or the brand recall, or was the right match did to influence your purchase of the drink? So this is one of the simple guidelines for asking the interview. So categorization of the personal interview, interview method, telephonic interview or the personal interview. So getting interview through the telephone, that is called telephonic interview. Getting interview through the face-to-face basis, that is called the personal interview. So telephonic interview, traditional or the computer assistance, or in a personal interview in home, mall, intercept or the computer assistance basis, we can get a personal interview. So these are the categories of the personal interview. So personal interview method is include at home interview or the mall interaction interview or the computer assistant personal interview. Telephonic method, this include traditional telephonic interview, the computer assistant telephonic interview. So there are two ways of the personal interview. Projective techniques. Projective technique involves the indirect question. This respond to give a relative ambiguous stimulus, and the underlying assumption is that the respondent would project their underlying need, emotion, beliefs and the attitude on to this object. Association technique, completion technique, construction technique, choice and ordering technique and expressive technique. So these are the projective techniques. On the projective technique we are finding the projection on the particular attributes. Sociometric analysis. Sociometric analysis involves the choice or the communication or the interpersonal relation of the people in a different group that compete made on the best or this choice indicate the social attraction and the avoidance. Sociometric groups is showing sociometric index, sociometric matrix, team of the choice. Here is given different teams, and on that basis we are creating the matrix of the sociometrics. So this is the example of the sociometric matrix team choice. Thank you. Any questions? I am Pramod Kumar Srivastava, Professor Team at TMA. My subject is Business Research Methodology. In this subject, Business Research Methodology, today I am going to discuss on type of data. Under the type of data, my topic is the questionnaire construction, personal interview, or the telephonic interview, mail in survey, or the preparation of the questionnaire or the schedule. And the learning outcome. Learning outcome is to understand how we can use data in a different type of research and for the different objectives. First, the primary data. We all know that there are the two ways of the primary data: direct personal interview and the mail questionnaires. So questionnaires are a vital tool in the research for collecting the data from the respondent. This guide outlines the steps and the construct the different questionnaire ensuring the data collection. Before to creating the questionnaire, clearly define the objectives. What information do you need? How will the data be used? And what decision will be influenced by the data? and identify the target audience, understand who will the respondent for your questionnaire, demography of the respondent, age, gender, occupation, interest and the behavior, literacy level, choice of the question type, open-end question, the closed-end question. These are the information related with the. So finally we can say that the primary data collection for the first time through to census or the sample survey, the method of the data collection of the research investigation on the basis of the direct personal interview or the interview through the questionnaire method. So direct personal interview, under the direct personal interview method, the interviewer interview the respondent personally. This is the investigation establish personal contact. This is the respondent with the respondent, and that the investigator establish personal contact with the respondent and conduct the spot inquiry by making the direct contact with the respondent and put simple and direct question to them. The source of this method depends upon the characters and the efficiency of the interviewers. The interviewer should be polite or the tactful. He must identify himself with the people or must be congruent with the local conditions such as customer, language, etc. So, direct personal interview, under the direct personal interview method, the interviewer interviews the respondent personally. That is, the investigators establishes the personal contact with the respondent, that conduct on the spot inquiry. He make direct contact with the respondent and put simple and direct questions. The success of this method depends upon the character and efficiency of the interviewer. The interviewer should be polite or tactful. He must identify himself with the people, must be congruent with the local conditions such as customers, language, etc. So there are certain advantages of this personal interview, direct personal interview. This method poses a certain advantage. By this method, original data are collected, correct, and the required information is gathered. As one person collects the data, there is a uniformity in the collection of data. Due to the personal presence of the interviewer, there is flexibility in the inquiry and the necessary adjustment can easily be done. Personal approaches help overcome reluctance to the response. It permits to provide explore questions in depth. Promptness is answered, and the certain disadvantages of the personal interview method. So here there are certain disadvantages also in this method. Such method has a limited value. Such method can be used in a very few cases because most statistical inquiry cover a wide field than any single investigators could possibly examine personally within the reasonable times. This method is a very costly and require more time. Personal bias may validate the result if the field of inquiry is. So these are the certain disadvantages of the personal interview. Mail questionnaires. Mail questionnaire method. In this method, a question is in the form of a set of questions is sent by a mail to the informant. They are expected to answer the question and also the additional information whenever needed or mail them back to the investigator, and it should be used then. The area under investigation is wide. Information are educated when informant are far away. So These are the requirement of the main questionnaire, and these are the under investigation. Main questionnaire is the when the investigation is in a wide range, we can use informant are educated for this at least requirement of the educated informant, or when the informant are far away and the informant is very far away, at that condition we are using the main questionnaire method. Under this method, question is prepared and the questionnaire contain a set of questions on the problem under investigation. These questions are addressed to individual informant and sent by a post or email. They are requested to answer the question and post back to the investigator. If necessary, they are also given an assurance that the answer will be kept confidential. So when we are posting questionnaire to the respondent, and we are also ensuring the respondent that this should be very confidential and that we use the privacy of your answer. So there are certain advantages of the mail questionnaire method. This method is useful in following cases when the area of investigation is very large. So when our investigation area is very wide, at that situation we are using mail questionnaire method. When the information cannot be obtained directly from the informant, and there are some chances that we are not able to connect with the respondent in the direct way, at that situation the mail questionnaire method is one of a very attractive and very quick method to get the answer from your respondent. And this method is generally used by the government or the entities or the commissions appointed by the government. They collect information about the different problem by collecting information from the persons of concern. So whatever the concerned person, we are getting information. For that we first need to generate a set of question, and we mail that question to the respondent and asking the respondent to answer that question in a very proper manner, and we are also ensuring a respondent to go for their privacy. So this method used in the following cases: when the area of investigation is very large, when the information obtained. So the information obtained for the large area or the from the educated person, this one is an important method. But regarding lot of advantage, there are certain disadvantages associated with this method, and the disadvantages of this method is there are limitations. This method can be used only when the informant are educated. So this is the first limitation of mail questionnaire method. This method is impossible, and this is impossible to gather the information by this method. Non-response and the incompleteness. So number of questionnaires may not be returned in the case of mail questionnaire method. In such cases, the non-response become a serious problem of this method. There may be a long delay in the receiving questionnaire, that is the second problem, and the return question may not be carefully filled in, or they may be incomplete. So mail questionnaire method takes a lot of time, and also it require lot of confidence on your respondent, and sometimes respondent do not provide a complete information regarding your questionnaires. Dependence on the questionnaire. The success of the method largely depend upon the proper drafting of the questionnaire. If the question drafting pattern is very precise and very easy to understand, that make a great chance of response, and if the pattern is not precise and not understandable for the respondent, that might be create incompetencies and not getting the answer of the whole questions in the response sheet. So there are further disadvantages. The lack of accuracy and reliability. This method lead to a lack of accuracy and reliability. There is no direct contact between the investigator or respondent. Therefore, one is not sure about the accuracy and reliability of the data. This method is in realistic becoming a recipient of the inadequate or incomplete answer, and it is difficult to ask. Because of the recipient of the inadequate or incomplete answer, it is difficult to ask supplementary and complementary questions. So this one is one of the disadvantage. Lack of cross-examination. We are not able to examine whatever the information given by the respondent and cannot be cross-examined. There is no possibility of the cross-examination in the mail questionnaire method. And the last one is the no removal of doubts of the informant. Whatever the doubt of the informant, we are not able to remove that doubt. There is no chance of the removal of doubt in the mind of informant. So there are some requirement of good questionnaires. So here there are some requirement of the good questionnaires. First one is the cover letter, second one is the layout, third one is the number of question, fourth one is the size of question, fifth one is the sequence of the question, sixth one is the clarity of the question, seventh one is the avoidance of the personal question. So these are the certain requirement of the good questionnaires, and if you are going through the requirement, certainly you are able to develop a good questionnaire. So designing a questionnaire to record the response of the respondent. Question is a systematic list of questions to be asked for the answer. No survey can achieve success without a well-designed questions. Unfortunately, question design has no theoretical base to guide the marketing, guide the research in developing the flowness in the question. Researcher has to be guided by the list of do or don't want on the experience of the both researcher in the past and the present experience. So there is no any very specific rules, regulation or guidelines regarding the questionnaire. These all depend upon the questionnaire designing, their experience and their research magnitude. Question is a structured set of the question usually set by the mail or the email or the sometime interview filled by allow the respondent proper precautions and necessarily designed the question. A question should be so framed as to meet the objective of the study. The main aspect of the question design are the content, structure, format, length, sequence of the question. Though there are no set rule of the designing of question, 8 following are the main requirement of the question. So simply we can say that there is no rule for designing a question, but there are certain aspects we have to use when we are designing a question, and when we are using these aspects, certainly we are able to make a good questionnaire. So first aspect is the covering letter. The aim of covering letter is to introduce the objective of the research study, to give instruction to answering the questions. It assured a respondent of the anonymity and the confidentiality of the information provided by him. If mailed by the post, it should be accompanied by the self-address or stamped envelope. So when you are mailing the questionnaire to the respondent, postal mail, when you are postal mailing the questionnaire to the respondent, definitely you have to self-address and stamp envelope attached with your questions. Layout. Second one is the layout. So how is the question should be attractive. The use of bold, italic or underlining should be done. to highlight the important thing in the question. Proper space should be provided between the question if the respondent need to write an answer of this question. The paper and the printed quality affect a lot of the appearance of the question. Number of questions. The size of the questionnaire is an important aspect for the response. If the number of questions in a questionnaire is too large, there will be poor response and the lengthy question is avoided to be filled due to the lack of time and boredom. The size of question. Longer and complicated questions should be avoided as they are not understood by the respondent. The question should be such that the respondent read it quickly, understand its meaning and give an answer to it easily. Sequence of the questions. Haphazardous arrangement of the question in the questionnaire may confuse a respondent. The flow of order of the question should be natural and logical. It is illogical to ask woman if she is married after asking her a number of children she has. So we have to avoid certain things. Clarity in the questions. Whatever things you are asked, that should be precise and clear. A question should not be ambiguous or the abstract. It should be clearly pass the objective of the research to the respondent. It should not involve any mathematical calculation of the answer of the question. A question like what are the quality of the ideal manager without giving choice. It too abstract the question. Such questions should be avoided. So whatever the question if you ask, if you are asking certain type of question, you have to give certain choices. Without giving choices, it is very abstract for the respondent. Avoid personal questions. A respondent is always reluctant to answering personal questions related to income, marriage, sex, love affair, smoking, drinking habit, etc. So they are asking to avoid this kind of question unless it is essential for the research. If it is essential for the research, then it is important to ask. But if it is not essential for your research, then you have to avoid. So simply, unless if this type of question is really important and relate with your research objective, then you have to ask. But you have to avoid this type of question. So, question construction, crafting effective survey questions. Your answer, date. Explain the importance of well constructed question. Brief overviewing of what questionnaires. Understand questionnaire. What is the questionnaire? Actually, you have to make certain understanding that questionnaire is a set of questions. Type of questionnaires means there are structured questionnaires, semi-structured questionnaire or unstructured questionnaires. Objective of questionnaire gathering information, measures, attributes, opinion, behavior, validity hypothesis, validating hypothesis. These are the objectives. Designing questionnaires. Steps in designing questionnaires. Define the objectives, identify the target audience, determine the type of question, designing the layouts and the formats. So when you are going to design the questionnaire, you have to go through a certain thing that first we have to go through the defining the objectives. Before designing the questionnaire, your objective should be clear, precise, or easy to understand for everyone. On that basis, you are able to frame the questions because your question is matched with the research objective. Identify the target audience, whom you are going to ask these questions. So you have to first understand that your target audience, and that basis of your target audience you have to frame the questions. And if you are understanding and you are very aware about your target audience, then it is very easy for you to design the questions. Sometimes if your target audience is very unknown and you do not know the characteristics of your target audience, at that situation if you are designing the questionnaire, it is very difficult and it is very less chance of getting good information or good response. Identifying target audience is really important elements for questionnaire designing. Determining the type of questions. So determining the type of questions, there are different type of questions we are using, and which question is more important and which type of question is easy to understand, and the possibility of giving the answer of that type of question. We have to make understanding of that, and on that basis you are going to design the questionnaire. Designing the layouts and the format. Layout and format is very important, and whatever the layout and format you are using, that must be very smoothing, very attractive for your respondent, and by this way you are able to increase the response of your questions. Type of questions. Crafting questions. So crafting question, clarity and simplicity. When you are crafting the question, that should be simpler or clear. Avoiding the jargon and complex language. Relevance. Assuring the questions are predefined or objective neutrally, and avoid the leading and the biased questions. Grouping similar topic together. Order effective, minimizing the bias caused by the question order. So order should be in a very formal way. So logical and order sequencing is important for the question sequence. So we go with the very careful sequencing of the question. Administrating the question. Yes. Method of distribution. Online survey, face-to-face interview, or mail survey, or the phone survey. So these are the method of distribution. So how you are administrating your question means how you are getting information from your question. The mode of information. Consideration, accessibility, convenience and response rate. So whatever the questionnaire administrated, the most important thing is that how that is be accessible, and how we can make it convenient, and how we can increase the response rate. So these three things is very important: accessibility, convenience and the response rate. Next is the schedule through the enumerators. In this method, the investigators or the enumerator approaches the informant with preparing questionnaires and get the reply of the question. This method is generally used in a census or large scale survey. So scheduling through the enumerator generally use a large survey method or the census method. So first we go through what is schedule. A schedule is a research structured set of questions administered by the interviewer who record the response. This method is distinct from the self-administered questions, and often several advantages and disadvantages. This document provides an overview of the schedule with the key features. Understanding schedule. Schedule is a systematic collection of the questions designed to gather the information from the response. Unlike the self-administrative question or the schedule, require the interview to present the questions and record the answer. Key feature of the schedules: structure, format, interview administration and flexibility. Predefined set of the question ensuring the consistency across the interview. Interview administration and interviewer ask the question and document the response ensuring the clarity and competencies. Advantage of using schedule: high quality data. Through schedule we can gather the high quality data ensuring accurate and complete response due to the interviewer guidance. Classification of the question: interviewer can explain and clearly questions are needed, reduce the misunderstanding. Proving the detailed response: interviewer can ask flow of questions to gain a deeper insight. So next is the framing of questions or the schedule. So framing of question and schedule: of the question, avoid mathematical questions, attractive layout of the question. So these are the guidelines of the framing of the questionnaires or the schedules. So first one is the cover letter. In this letter, the investigator should introduce himself or make the objective of the survey clear to informant. Informant should be assured that the information provided by him will be kept sacred. Number of questions: this number of questions is the questionnaire should be as small as possible. This result in a time saving and convenient in both investigators and the informant. So that is the part of the number of questions. Next is the nature of questions. Delicate questions should be put with the great care. Often indirect questions should be formed to get an answer of these questions. So when you are putting the question, you have to carefully with the delicate question and how you are putting a delicate question. And if you are carefully putting a delicate questions, then there is a high chance of the response of that questions. Next is on the questions should be simple. What question you are asking or whatever you want to ask the question, that should be clear, concise and short answer question. Do not ask long answer question and do not ask such type of question that is not able to a response. So clarity, precise and the short length of the question is important, and if you are using this kind of the questions, that certainly increase the response rate of your question. This should be related to the phenomenon under the investigation. Next is on the arrangement of questions. Arrangement of the question is related with how you are systematically putting one by one questions, and the nature of the question is aligned with one to another. There should be a natural and the logical order of the question in the questionnaire. So we have to take care of the natural and logical order in that question. For example, it is not logical to ask man about the income before asking about his occupation. If you are asking the occupation and then again you are asking the income of that person, it is very illogical question. So arrangement of question is that if you are asking such type of question, then there is no need to cross that type of questions. That may sense to increase the burdenness and the irritation of the respondent. Next is the avoid mathematical questions. As far as possible, question involving mathematical calculation be avoided. It is always better to use a multiple choice question and simple alternative question, yes or no. So simply when you are asking the question, best thing is that you are putting the MCQ multiple choice question or the dictonomous type of question, yes, no, or true or false. That type of questions response rate is very high because it is easy to respond that type of questions. Next is the attractive layouts of the question. Questionnaires should be attractive and the questions should be suitable space for the proper answering. So how you are layouting your question, and after layouting the question you have to proper giving the space of the response of that question. Now the difference between the questionnaires and the schedule. So there are certain differences of the questionnaire schedule on the basis of definition, on the basis of administration, on the basis of control over the response, on the basis of data quality, on the basis of type of question, on the basis of response rate, on the basis of cost and time, on the basis of flexibility and adaptability, or on the basis of example of usage. So these are the 9 bases. On that 9 basis we are going to differentiating both method of the data collection. Questionnaire and the schedule are both data collection tool used in the research, but they have distinct differences in terms of administration, structure, usage, and the detailed comparison. So on the basis of definition, a set of written or the printed questions used to gather the information from the respondent, typically filled out by the respondent themselves. But schedule is the structured set of questions administered by the interviewer who record the response. So the quality of the data collection is very high in the schedule on the comparison of questionnaires. On the basis of administration, questionnaire self-administrated respondent complete the questionnaire on their own. Method can be distributed via mail, online, or handed over to the person. Often allow the anonymous response, but schedule the interviewer administrated and the interviewer asks question and record the answer by the interviewer. Method is over response. Questionnaire respondents have a complete control over when and how they answer the question, risk of the misunderstanding question without immediate classification. Schedule interview can clarify question and probe for the more detailed response, greater control over the quality and competence of the response. Data quality. Questionnaires. Advantage can such a large audience quickly and cost effectively, and disciplinary risk low response rate. So questionnaire have a data quality is low rate of data quality, but the advantage is we quickly come to a rich level, or the respondent is very far away from us. It is easy, but in a schedule it is very tough. High data quality rate in the interview guidance and ability to clarify the question, but disadvantage is a time consuming and very expensive method. So this there is the advantages and the disadvantage of the schedule. The type of questions typically included closed-end question for the easier self-administration. So when you are designing the questionnaires, the closed question more preferable question is a closed-ended question. In question we are using MCQ, or we are using the dictonomous type of question, true or false, or yes or no. This type of question is easy to administrate. On schedule, it can include the both open-end and closed-end question. So in schedule it is very high chance to use open-end question, and we are gather the information through open-end question when we are designing the schedule. But when you are designing the questionnaire method or the mail questionnaire method, it is very tough to put an open-end question, because if you are putting open-end question, the response rate is very poor in the open-end question. So finally we can say that the response rate of the questionnaire is generally very low rate, especially with the mail or the online distribution. But on the other hand, in the schedule, the response rate is very high because we are getting the response of the one-to-one basis by the interviewer or investigator, and getting response and recording of that response by the interviewer. Cost and time. Questionnaire is a very low cost, and the faster distribution are getting a very low cost. On the other hand, questionnaire schedule is a very high cost, are getting information, and time is also required, very large time required for getting the information, because we are getting information from one-to-one basis. Flexibility and adaptability. Questionnaires have a less flexibility or less adaptability, and on the other hand, schedule have a very high flexibility and adaptability. So simply we can say that the flexibility characteristics, the questionnaire have a less flexibility and the schedule have a high flexibility. Example of uses: customer satisfaction survey, employee feedback forms, or the academic research survey are the example of the questionnaire. On the other hand, schedule is an in-depth interview, sensor data collection, market research where the detailed response is needed. So when you require a very detailed information, very in-depth information required at that situation, you have to go with the schedule. But for large scale, less intensive data collection, and schedule on the other hand involve interviewers, making them ideal for the situation requirement, detailed high quality data, but higher cost and the time investment. Understanding this difference helps the researcher choose the appropriate tools based on the study of the objective, resources, and nature of the information. So finally it all depends upon you. So whatever the objective, nature, and the resource availability, and that situation you prefer the mail questionnaire method or the schedule method. But simply when the data size is small, at that situation it is easy for using the schedule method, because every research we have certain cost constraint or the time constraint or time limitation. So this we cannot go with the other if you want to accuracy. But if the data size is large and the respondent is far away from you, and that situation you go through the mail questionnaire or the postal mail questionnaire. In that cases you can administrate your response in a very low cost. So type of questionnaires and the data collections. So there are the different type of questions are the closed-end question, and second type of question is the open-end question. So there are certain example of the closed-end questions. The yes or no question, true or false are the closed-end question. Multiple choice question is closed-end question. Likert scales, either we are asking question on the 5 scale or the 7 scale rating questions or the ranking question. These all are considered in the closed-end question. On the other hand, there are the certain open-end questions when there is no any predetermined space for your questions. Demographic questions or the dictonymous questions or the metric questions. So understand the various type of question there can be include in schedule of the questionnaire. This is crucial to collecting the right data below the primary type of question, along with the example and consideration of their use. So definition of the closed-end question: question that provide response with the specific predetermined opinion of the choice. They are easy to analyze and often use a quantitative research. So example of the closed-end question: simple question with the binary choice. In the binary choice example, do smartphone. So do you own a smartphone? So simply you can give the answer yes or no. So this is type of the closed-end questions. Here there is an option is only two option, yes or no. Again there is a multiple type question providing the several answer opinion from which the respondent choose one or more examples. which of the following social media platforms do you use? So here there is the question asking with the respondent that which social media platform do you use. So in that condition we are giving the choice to your customer: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or LinkedIn. So here there is the choice, and also we are providing that you can tick the multiple answers. Like in the example, sometimes people are using the various social media, so they might be using the various social media. And also we are giving giving a space that there is no use of the social media. So multiple choice question is very easy to administrate, and the response rate is high because it is easy to understand by the respondent also. Likert scale questionnaires. So Likert scale questions measuring attributes or the opinion are usually ranging from the strong or agree. So generally when you are using qualitative information or asking about the attribute of anything, at that situation we are just giving the rating. So rating your agreement with the following statement: the questions services were excellent, a strong agreed, or the agree, or the neutral, or the disagree, or the strongly disagree. So this type of question is called in the Likert scale question the 5 scale questions. Means here the 2 is the disagree, or 2 is the agree, or 1 is in the neutral. And the rating scale question asking response for the rate, asking for the scale of numerical. Example, on a scale of 1 to 10, what rate you are giving. Like in the example, how satisfy you will with your our services. So in our services, just I am asking the rating scale for the 1 to 10, and that situation you have to rate from 1 to 10 for availing the services and the level of the satisfaction. So this type of question is called as the rating scale question. Next type is in the ranking question, asking the response in order to opinion according to their preferences, ranking the following feature in order of the importance. So sometimes we are asking the feature of the product, and that situation you are asking the ranking, which feature you are ranking more. Like in the example, price, quality, brand, these are the features. On that basic we some people ranking price, some people ranking quality first, brand second, or the price first, quality second, and the brand third. So that is a ranking scale. On that basis we are ranking the feature of the product. So these are the part of the open-end questions. So we can say that they are part of the 5 open-end questions. One is in the yes or no question, second one is in the MCQ multiple choice questions, and third one is the Likert scale question, fourth one is the rating scale question, and the fifth one is ranking scale question. Next one is the open-end question defining. So open-end that allow the respondent to answer their own words. They are usually for a qualitative research or gathering detail or the subjective response. When there is a requirement or detail or subjective response, at that situation we are using the open-end questions. So like in the example, what do you like most about your product? So when we are asking about our product, so I ask the question that what do you like most about our product? So that is the open-end question. On that basis the different respondent giving the answer of that question in a different way. Can you describe a time when your experience excellent on the customer services, or the what improvement would you suggest for your website? So sometime I am asking about the improvement, and that situation I am asking for the feedback of our improvement, and that what information or what kind of suggestion you want to provide for the improvement of our questions. So considerations: require more time for the response to the answer and the researcher to analyze. So open-end question is very tough to getting the response, and also it is tough to analyze the response gathered by the respondent. Third one is the demographic question. That question related with the demography of the respondent. The question is collected information about the respondent background. There are the essential characteristics of the survey, like in the example of the age or the education level or the employee status or the gender or the occupation level or the income level. These are the part of the demographic questions. The consideration keeping demographic question is a straightforward and peaceful and ensure question are relevant to the research objectives. And the fourth one is a dictonymous questions, and a specific type of question ended question that are only two possible answer. Here yes, no, or true or false. Considering useful for the example and clear cut questions, limited the depth of the information. And the fifth one is the matrix question, a set of questions that share a same response opinion, often used to streamline the survey process and reduce the repetitions. Example, please read the following aspect of our services: friendliness of the staff, excellence, good, fair or poor, speed of the services, the excellent, good, fair or the poor, or proper satisfaction, excellent, good or fair or the poor. So this type of question I am giving the option of that question, and that type of question is called as the matrix question, and the consideration is efficient to gathering the response on the multiple item with the same scale. Ensure the matrix is not too large to avoid the response fatigue. And the sixth one is contingencies question, defining the question that depend on the response of the previous question, often used to create a logical flow and avoid the irrelevant questions. So sometimes there are so many irrelevancy to come, and to avoid that irrelevancy we are using the contingency question. Do you own a pet? Yes or no. If you say yes, or if you say no. If yes, what type of pet do you own? So this is type of the contingency question. First, if you are answered about the question, then again we are asking something, some other question related to the last one questions. So consider help to keep the survey relevant and concise, require careful design to ensure the logical benchmarking. So conclusion, setting an appropriate type of question is essential for collecting a meaningful and accurate data. Close-ended questions are useful for the qualitative analysis and simplicity, and like open-ended questions provide a depth and detailed analysis. So simply for the qualitative analysis and simplicity, closed question is important. For if you require a depth analysis, at that situation we are using open-end question. Demography, dictonymous, matrix and contingency question each have their own places, depend upon the research objective and the information sought. By the understanding and using this different type of question effectively, researcher can design more effective survey and schedule, and leading to a better data collection and insight. Thank you.